The cold inside Rogers Center has always told the truth. Not the temperature, but the silence. The kind that settles after a season ends 1 win short. After a Game 7 slips away. After a window feels open, yet unfinished. In Toronto, that silence has lingered into the winter, growing louder with every rumor, every flight log, every closed-door meeting that hints at something bigger. Kyle Tucker walked into the Blue Jays' spring training facility carrying more than his resume. He carried leverage. He carried hope. And for a brief stretch, he carried the idea that this offseason could be different. That Toronto was no longer circling greatness, but ready to claim it. Because this wasn't just another free agent chase. This was a test of identity. The Toronto Blue Jays have been aggressive before, but rarely desperate, rarely urgent. That changed the moment the final out of the World Series was recorded. A Game 7 loss doesn't just end a season, it exposes it. It forces a franchise to look in the mirror and ask what's missing. Toronto's answer was simple. Power, certainty, October impact. Kyle Tucker checked every box. A left-handed star, a middle-of-the-order force, a bat that alters game plans before the first pitch is thrown. Toronto didn't hesitate. They met with him. They made their pitch. They offered 11 years and $400 million, a statement contract, signaling to the league that the Blue Jays were done waiting their turn. For a moment, it felt like the momentum was real. But baseball's biggest decisions rarely happen in quiet rooms alone. They happen in the shadows cast by bigger markets, deeper pockets, owners who refuse to lose the spotlight. Enter the New York Mets. According to Newsweek analyst Alien Mohammed, the Mets are poised to do what they've done before, change the conversation with money, not because they have to, but because they can. The prediction is stark. The Mets outbid Toronto by $30 million. 11 years, $430 million. A move that reshapes not only a lineup, but a direction. Why now? Because New York has been bleeding talent. Edwin Diaz gone. Brandon Nimmo gone. Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil. Names that once defined the Mets core have quietly exited the stage. And Steve Cohen, aggressive, impatient, and acutely aware of perception, is not built to sit through an offseason watching stars sign elsewhere. The Mets still have Juan Soto. They still have Francisco Lindor. They are not rebuilding. They are recalibrating. And adding Kyle Tucker would create something immediate. A trio designed for dominance. A reminder that the Mets don't retreat. They reload. If that happens, Toronto loses more than a player. They lose the crown jewel of the offseason. Tucker isn't just another upgrade. He's a franchise-altering presence. The kind of hitter who protects Vladimir Guerrero Jr. The kind who turns deep counts into mistakes. The kind who shortens October nights. Missing out on him would sting, not because Toronto didn't try, but because they were close enough to believe. And yet, this is where the story becomes more complicated. Because the Blue Jays offseason doesn't hinge on one name. It hinges on a mindset, and everything Toronto has done suggests they're not finished. ESPN insider Jeff Passan didn't hesitate when asked about it. "I don't think the Blue Jays are done," he said. "I think they're gonna get a big bat." Not singular, plural. Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, Bichette, maybe more than one. Toronto isn't operating like a team hoping for a break. They're acting like a franchise that understands timing. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is in his prime. The pitching foundation is strong. The window isn't theoretical anymore. It's right in front of them. The question isn't if they spend, it's where. And that's where strategy enters the frame. Ken Rosenthal has pointed out what the front office already knows. While Tucker remains alluring, Toronto's greater need may be in the infield. Stability, defense, postseason edge. Bregman fits. Bichette, familiar, proven, unfinished, fits too. Even Cody Bellinger lurks on the periphery of these conversations. This isn't panic. It's planning. Toronto chased Tucker because he represented the highest possible ceiling. But missing on him doesn't close the door. It forces a pivot. And pivots, in baseball history, have shaped dynasties just as often as blockbuster signings. What matters now is resolve. Do the Blue Jays double down? Do they spread the investment across multiple impact pieces? Do they build a roster that's deeper, smarter, and more flexible, even without the biggest name on the board? One thing is clear. This front office believes the time is now. They are willing to spend, willing to absorb risk, willing to be judged not by intent, but by results. Kyle Tucker may choose New York. The headlines may follow him there. The dollars might speak louder than geography. But Toronto will still be standing, with urgency, with options, and with a fan base that knows this moment is different. Because championships aren't won in December. They're forged in the decisions that follow disappointment. In the moves made after a door closes. The silence inside Rogers Center won't last forever. And what fills it next could define the next decade of Blue Jays baseball. So if you're watching this unfold, ask yourself, what would you do next? And when the next signing drops, will it be the one that finally breaks that silence?